coffee over here. All places by the Alaskan Brewing Company, kind of industrial area. Just driving through and looking for the wall tents, looking for some sort of a big ass weather port for the shelter. I just talked to the guy on the phone. I sell him one for 5,000 and 40 by 60. Now this thing I think is like, I don't know what it is, 20 by 30 or something. Not even, it's not very big, it's 15 by something. I'm just gonna train the camera on it. So it's this one facing us right here. It's got a different, that little cars inside there. Check that thing out. That could be a pretty good option, I think. Is a second tent to store stuff in, and it kind of based it for the show to kind of be out of, and to have is like living quarters too for our guys, so our crew there. So, I think that could be double as a little gym or whatever. It's higher. It's got a hole. It's got a second tarp over it. It's got some wear and tear, but it's only $1,000. You know what I mean? And it's big. It's not like a little 10 by 10 like the $100 one that was online. It's been long sold. It's a significant size tent. I should run over to Home Depot here real quick, because the other thing is, like, what if we just try to make something, cut some trees and put some plastic wrap up, or just like these big storage containers, just get a couple of those and put them down and build something around it. You know what I mean? Put them on each side and put some big rafters up and put the plastic over. I've seen that plenty of times in Alaska. So running into Home Depot here, see the mountains behind me, sort of. Just a couple of quick things. So look at that one, that tent. Gotta turn the Wi-Fi signal off. 4,000. The one online for $5,000 for 40 by 60. I just wanted to compare it real quick to the, it's like if you just buy like a tarp that's like a blue tarp that's 40 by 60. It's check out the axis here. It's like $200. Right? That huge tent with all the silver poles, the aluminum poles, $5,000. Look at 200 versus $5,000. Now you'd have to have the poles, you'd have to have maybe a little bit more, it has walls and etc. But over here, we don't really need competition axes. $27 for one of those Husky axes is a pretty good deal. I think. And how many of those could we buy? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We could buy 10 of those axes, and we're good to go for our axes. And just talking about like versus the 5,000 for the tent, and we go cut some fucking trees down in the good old Alaskan fashion way, and put up our thing and have a little bit of a rustic feel to it instead of those silver poles. 5,000, of course, it's a little, 5,000 is pretty solid. But I don't know what that tent is. It's a used tent. It looks good online. But running down here real quick. So what we wanted to show was versus buying that tent for $5,000 with all the poles and everything. Heavy duty tarp 20 by 30 right here. A bulk price is going for $9. We have that tent is a 40 by 60. So down here, general purpose blue tarp 40 by 60 is going for $200 versus the 5,000 for that tent. You could buy 2 of those and you could have almost twice the space if you knew how to actually build this shit from some trees, from some logs. And you could probably not exactly twice. There could be an overlap in the middle, and you've got, you've got at least, 60 by 100. Of course, it rains and it winds. This stuff could break, but 40 by 60 there. These are all 20 by 100. Just trying to find the biggest possible one. And this is 40 by 100. This is that clear stuff that I see someone else build with. I don't have a lot of confidence in. I don't know. Yeah, a smaller tent, yeah, sure. But a bigger tent, I don't know about that. But 40 by 100, uh, if you had that blue thing to do this, then you could use that to drape over the top. That comes out to $468 for both of those. Potentially get the walls from that piece, and then you're still looking at round up to 500. You're still way under $5,000. Of course, you have to get the posts, you have to get a sledgehammer, and you have to put them in. It has to be sturdy, which isn't simple. And the aluminum poles are way more likely to be good at that. So it just makes me think, it's hard to get that $5 grand for me for the land, and that's like the tent to the one you can make. Is there another option for the venue? It just makes you begin to explore all the other things. And hard though, if we're not within walking distance of the cruise ships, as soon as you bring in and put money in transportation, you're looking at like $5 grand. So, an axe is $26. One of the blue tarps for 40 by 60 is 200. You buy 100 by 40 of that clear plastic stuff, which is probably better. All of a sudden you're up to 500. Plus you've got, let's say we buy 10 axes, at $30 a piece. 300 plus 500. You're looking at under $1,000. Under $1,000 to build the whole thing. You know what I mean? Under $1,000, just axes. That's a story. That's a marketing angle. Just with axes, build this huge shelter. Plus, it's going to be a workout. Cutting the trees down and everything. You know what I mean? And you've got the tents and you've got it together. That's $1,000. Startup versus 5,000 for the tent. Now we've got our location. We got a crew. Can we get the axes? Can we do that? You know what I mean? That's a pretty cool thing, I think. To me, that seems like a stronger angle than buying that tent for 5,000, especially in light of the fact that I don't have the 5,000 to spend on the tent. You know what I mean? Right now in my own pocket. So they're trying to put pressure on me to make that purchase. If there was an investor, someone came through, yeah, but I feel like it's a stronger angle as preparation for everything that we're trying to do, is try to round some people up, grab a bunch of axes, and begin getting some trees and come up with a plan for building a couple of these tents, and just buying the tarp and trying to build them. Now it's probably not as smart, it's not as good a thing, but for me, I'm just saying instinctually, yeah, I just want to put the budgeting and like all the lessons of Alaska, everything we're trying to do. If it looks a little bit, if it looks a little ghetto, that as long as it works, the issue with the tourists and stuff, as long as it works for price protection. If you get too fancy, there's just use some logs. You know what I mean? That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. It's a lumberjack show. It's not a who can buy $5,000 worth of a tent on Craigslist show. You know what I mean? So having some logs and stuff and making it with axes is a pretty cool story, I think, for the tourists, and fit well. But what I was gonna say was, you look at like the glacier companies, because Home Depot's out by like where the sling site is, where we send stuff up to the glacier. It's like no one, all those companies, they all have they use the weather ports and the wall tents. No one would be trying to make a tent for the shit we do up there, in terms of the weather, in terms of the just the way it is. So I don't know. I have mixed emotions. If you're just going to buy a brand new weather port and you had a shit ton of money, I think that would be good. Buying a used weather port, what are we actually getting? My idea is really good, but I don't have, you're talking about, you get your guys and you try to line them out on that kind of a project. You run the risk of, you're barking up the wrong tree. You want to do the show, you want to do tours. We're not trying to build shelter here. You know what I mean? Though all of that stuff's cool, and we understand how, like I just said, the difference. But there's a point where you just need to get a piece of the puzzle and put it in there. And how many hours does it take to, can't hit the trees and get the poles and like cut them and like get a sledgehammer and pound them in and build the thing and have it not be falling down all the time on the tours, versus just buying one. How much hours and how much time, if you're just trying to do it yourself as an individual, you're trying to bring other people on. We want to open this thing fast. We can make 200 seats. We can make $5,000 in one show if we're at capacity. Are we wasting time trying to build stuff? No one's going up to the glaciers to do the helicopter glacier tours and building snow caves. They all use wall tents and stuff. So, all the lessons of Alaskan self-reliance are good. And maybe a secondary or other tents can be built in the fashion that I'm mentioning with the axes and with just tarps from Home Depot, and but maybe for the primary tent, I think it's reasonable to be like, let's try to buy something. But it's not reasonable if it's not economically feasible. That's $5,000 or whatever. So we have to internalize that, and that's just the one thing that happened to be local on Craigslist. I should research what those things cost new and see if somewhere else online they're cheaper used. But and the other one down there was 1,000, but that was a used one. I just saying though, like for $500, plus 300 for a bunch of 10 axes, under $1,000 you can buy the tarps. You gotta get 10 axes and rally some people or just do it yourself and just get some trees. And it's just not that simple. I know from trying to build the yurt stuff to like actually building things. The aluminum, having a tent that just goes up that's 40 by 60, bang, you've got your thing. The next step is you got your chairs, and then you get your insurance and you can open your doors. You know what I mean? And get a couple people. Just get 2 people as well, just to compete in the lumberjack thing, and you're on your way. So you don't want. Like I remember the one I seen somewhere down there in the Midwest was the one MC and the 2 people, and they ran it once a day, and they had a couple hundred people there. You know what I mean? They were charging $17-20 a piece, and they just were going through the competition format. So it's pretty cool. And I think driving the one tent is I'm just saying though, you could probably just make something a lot cheaper and quicker, especially on a sunny day like today. Like, what's stopping me from like just doing this while we don't have land yet? Anyway.